Well, if you've been following this journey that I've been on with regard to my first set of acrylic pours, we are now at the stage where they've been finished, they've dried and cured, they've been covered with a protective coating. We did a video on all of that, the whole process up to this point, and today we're going to finish them and prepare them for sale. And the method that I've chosen for this group of paintings is to cover the backs with some brown paper and then label them and give it a nice kind of finished look, put some hanging hardware on. So I'm going to take you through that journey with me. Here's one that I've already finished. It's a 12 by 12 and it actually is one of my favorite pours to date. This one's called Evaporating Dreams and it's for sale, but we're not talking about that right now. What I've done on the back here is to finish it with this brown paper. I've put a little label on here with the, it basically is a mini version of a certificate of authenticity, and it has the name and the date of the painting, and then I've added my hardware, super duper easy to do. So let's walk through all these materials and then I'll show you exactly how I did this process. So this is my dining room. You've seen it before when we did the polyacrylic seal, and that glare you see is actually the light fixture. So I do apologize for the less than perfect conditions, but you know, it's me and my iPhone, and I really just want to get the information out to you and share this with you. This is just a bandana. I put it down on the table because I don't want anything to in any way damage this finish. So when I turn this over to do the finishing work, it's just going to sit on this piece of fabric, and you can use any smooth microfiber or cotton fabric that's not going to give you any texture, any possibility of putting an impression of any kind into your finished artwork. I have pre-cut some brown paper. What I did was I bought this roll of brown craft paper online. So I've pre-cut these. My canvas is 12 inches by 12 inches, and so I've cut these to 11.5 by 11.5, and that'll give me this neat 1/4 inch border all around, and I actually really like the way the paint shows up back there as evidence of the journey, which is important to me. Then to do the hanging hardware, I have a reel of picture hanging wire. This has been coated in plastic, so it's not going to hurt your fingers or damage anybody's walls. This is one thing I've never liked about picture hanging wire, so there's a nice big reel of that. And then this is just a package of 100. These are D-ring picture hangers, and the screws are already included. One thing you want to be sure of is that when you use a screw, that the screw itself is not any deeper than the edge of your painting, because you don't want that screw poking out the other end. So definitely check that first before you go ahead and use your screwdriver. In most cases it should be okay, because this is a fairly standardized process. I also have some score tape. It's SCOR tape, and I will link to all of this in the description box. It's a two-sided tape, so I'm going to put one side down on my brown paper, and then I'm going to lift off the backing, and that will give me a perfect sticky surface for attaching to the canvas. It's the easiest and least messy way that I have found to finish my pieces. For cutting, you can use any system you like for getting a nice straight line. I have my cutting station here. So here's my rotary cutter. I also needed my flat edge to measure some things out, because you can see this only goes to 8 inches and I needed to measure 11.5. I have some wire nippers, a pair of scissors, and the scissors really were just to rough cut the paper off of the roll, and my pencil for doing all my marking. And then I've got a little Phillips head screwdriver for putting the hanging hardware in. That is what those screw heads are. And then I've got my paintings ready to go. Process, of course, is going to be a little bit different for these smaller paintings and, of course, the oval one, but we're going to show you for the 12 by 12s right now. And then once I've got this on, you see I've got a little label here. So I've got a sheet of labels that I made up just on my desk jet. I prepared them all with my studio name, and then I go back later and I add the actual names of the paintings and the date that it was, the medium and the year that it was created. You can personalize this in any way you want to. That's just what I've chosen. And then when I deliver it, it will include one of these. And these, again, I just made them up in Photoshop and printed them out on my DeskJet on glossy photo paper. And so this serves as a business card. So this will go along with it in the package. When this is all finished, I'm just going to wrap it up in some tissue paper. And then if I have to ship, I'll go on from there, but that's going to keep them from sticking to each other long term. And now I'm going to show you exactly what this process looks like. So let's get started with that. So the one we're going to finish right now is part of my fire flower series. This is my fire lily. We're going to start by turning it over. You can see the back is a little bit messy. Some people like to leave it that way. It's really a matter of personal taste. So you do what's right for you. I'm going to need a sheet of my pre-cut brown paper, and that's going to go on top right there. I just happen to like that look a whole lot better. So I'm going to set this here for just a moment while I apply. This paper curls a little bit from the roll, so I'm going to tape here. I just find it to lay a little bit flatter when I do that. So this is my score tape, and I think this is 5/8 inch. That size tends to work well. I have this on hand already for paper crafting, and it's working out really well. You want to come as close to the edge as possible. Just go ahead and stick it down. Remove any pet hair that may be present. And you're going to do this to all four sides. You don't want to overlap your tape here because then you won't be able to get the backing off. Just take a couple minutes to be careful and patient. This tiny little gap here should be okay. And then we're going to remove the backing and stick it onto our picture. We'll show you that next. So sometimes I find this roll of tape a little bit unwieldy to work with, and I end up not getting it as close to the edge as I like. And so what I've done here is just snipped off some additional thin pieces, not sure how clearly you can see that, and stuck it as close to the edge as possible because I don't want there to be a lip under here. And so the next thing I'm going to do is peel off the backing. And what I usually do is the top edge first before I peel off the rest of the paper, just so that I don't, this tape is pretty strong, so I don't want the whole thing sticking down in an area that maybe I don't want it. So in order to keep things a little bit more under control, I'm just going to start this so that I can reach under and peel it off when I'm ready. And now I'm going to bring my painting back and stick down my top edge. And because I pre-cut these, I can be fairly confident that if I get this top edge lined up well, the rest of my painting will be covered exactly where I want it to be. So now I can gently lift this up, pull off the rest of the backing. One more tiny little piece here. And then just give it a good press. As I said, it's a pretty strong adhesive. And then on my sheet of labels, I'm going to find the right name. This one is my Fire Lily. So here is Fire Lily. And I'm just going to apply that to my edge here where I think it looks attractive. And now we're ready for our hardware. The hanging hardware I've chosen looks like this. There are two D-ring hangers and then two little Phillips head screws that are going to go on either side, and then I'm going to attach my hanging wire to these. You can use any method you like. I have found this to work well for the smaller canvases. I find it to be quick and easy to put together. Now, the edges of these little screws are pretty sharp. You shouldn't need to drill a pilot hole, but I do struggle with this a little bit, and you will actually see me struggle with it a little bit because we're very real around here, guys. We don't stand on ceremony and try to look like something we're not, and I am, you know, reasonably inexperienced. So if I struggle and you struggle, we struggle together, and we're all the better for it, right? My canvas is 12 by 12, as I mentioned before, and I want my hardware to be at the 1/3 point for hanging. So for 12 inches, that's going to be at the 4-inch mark. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 4 inches here. And I'm going to mark 4 inches here. And that's where I want my screws to go. And then since this one's harder to see, I'm actually going to start here. You want to make sure your hardware doesn't hang off the end. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. You don't want it to hang off the end like this. You want to make sure it's in far enough so that when it's hanging, you won't see this. I'm sure you know that. But sometimes you get so caught up in the moment that you may not be paying attention. I'm just going to mark this one more time in case my screw goes wrong so that I can see exactly where I need to be. All right. Now I'm going to push the screw down a little bit to try to get it started. In fact, I'm going to do that without the benefit of the hanging hardware. Just kind of take the place of a pilot hole. And I'm hoping that that will give me a little bit less difficulty getting the screw in. And I found that I had to hold this in place until I was at least halfway down, and then it really seemed to catch and get going. And once that has happened, we're in fairly good shape. You want to go just until it catches and not over screw. So you want that to be nice and snug, but not crazy. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. That's done. Nothing poked through. That's a beautiful thing, but we knew that ahead of time because we don't take chances like that. Now to hang, we want our wire to be fairly taut, but we want it to have a little bit of play. So I'm going to just measure here, and then I'm going to leave myself another couple of inches for winding that wire around to secure it at the end. And then I'm just going to take my wire nippers and give it a snip. I'm going to lift up my D-ring, feed this underneath, and then I'm going to loop it through one more time. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You see I have a little bit more wire than I actually will need, and that's okay. So I want tight, but I want a little bit of room. And a little snugger than that. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And I can make another snip here. And then I'm just going to secure this by twisting it around the edge a couple of times. And this piece is ready to hang. We're done. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, would you do this, please? You know, there's a little place right down there where you can click your thumbs up, show your enthusiasm. I would love to hear from you in the comments. It would be just so encouraging to me to know what you think, to know if you found any value in this, to know if you're going to try this method. Tell me if you have another method. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. We do art videos and we do cooking videos around here. You love art and you love food, right? So there's no reason not to hang around. Check out some more videos while you're at it, and I will see you next time.